everyone, Consultancy at SIMSR brings to you VideoGyaan 5. Consultancy at SIMSR is the consulting committee of SIMSR, which consists of students from SIMSR who work on consulting projects for the corporates. VideoGyaan is an initiative taken up by us in order to keep the students abreast of the latest news in the industry and also to keep ourselves ready for the corporate journey that we are about to take. With the end of academic session 2016-17, many of us are about to begin our corporate journey, and thus we bring to you a VideoGyaan on the topic Learning Management Skills from the Arthashastra. To have an expert opinion on this topic, we have with us Professor Reena Mehta. Professor Reena Mehta is a general management faculty with industry and academic exposure of more than 22 years. Professor Reena Mehta specializes in the area of corporate social responsibility and business ethics, wherein she has also widely published and presented international papers. Professor Reena Mehta also conducts management development programs for leading companies in the areas of corporate social responsibility, management, work-life balance, stress management, as well as business ethics. So without much delay, we would like to start the session.
Hello ma'am.
Hello.
First of all, a very warm welcome to you from the consultancy committee, and thank you for taking out time for the session.
My pleasure.
So getting started, ma'am, we want to know what is the relevance of Chanakya's teachings in the field of in the field of modern management science today.
So Agatha, first of all, I really doubt whether management students know who is Chanakya. Please understand, Chanakya was the first strategist. He was the first economist in India. He was a professor in the very well-renowned world's university, Takshashila. At that time, it was famous to be the best university all around the world. And he was most sought after professor at that time. Now, let us see what he has done. Okay. So the first thing what he did, I don't know if you know that Alexander had come to invade India. Are you aware about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So when he came to invade India, all the kingdoms were fragmented and they were all fighting among themselves.
Right.
Chanakya actually saw potential that we all can come together and fight back. And he defeated Alexander by getting all of them together, and he had a great vision for Akhand Bharat. And he actually made it possible by using all the strategies. And you were talking about convincing all the kings to come together, and he did that. And they all defeated the most ambitious Alexander the Great. And that was his achievement. He was a small Brahmin and intellectual too. So that was his first thing he did. Now second thing what he did. At that time, it was, when you are talking about kingdom and the kings and Magad mainly, it was a dynasty. And at that time, it was Nanda dynasty which was ruling Magad at that time. Now, Chanakya was very much against the inheritance of, kings. He said people who deserve it, a leader who deserves it, should be able to run the kingdom. So he believed in meritocracy at that time, and I'm talking about 2300 years back. Chanakya was born in 370 BC. Okay, so what he did is he came across a very young but promising boy, Chandragupta, and he saw a lot of potential in him. He trained him, he mentored him, he taught him all the tricks of the trade, and he saw a huge potential in him to make a very good leader. Okay, and he defied Nanda dynasty at that time, and again by using very good war strategies, by having his army in place, he fought Nanda dynasty and he made Chandragupta at that time the king. I think it was really a lot of potential to defy the system for a Brahmin and to change people's perspective. Chandragupta was definitely very well deserved king, and Chanakya became advisor to Chandragupta Maurya. That is how the Maurya dynasty started. These two things. The third and the most important thing, what he did is he wrote Arthashastra. Arthashastra is a fantastic book about how a leader should behave, what leaders should do in order to have a harmony in his kingdom. So at that time, definitely he talked about the kings and queens of that time. So if you ask me, is he relevant? Of course, he is relevant, because in today's world, kings and queens are not staying in palaces, but they are staying or they are working in boardrooms. Uh, Today's companies' budgets are as good as a state's, GDP. The number of people working in the market, what we are looking at, you are talking about huge numbers. So even companies are in the sense they are small kingdoms. And that time he very well structured, he jotted down how a leader should behave and how the kingdom should be ruled, which can be applicable to today's companies. Am I answering that?
Yes, yes, right.
Yes, Sagar.
So, Chanakya also talks about the do's and don'ts of a king. That is, what a king should do and what a king should not.
Right.
So, does that relate to the CEO of an organization in today's world? And if yes, then how and like to what extent? That is what you
See,
would like to know.
Yes. Good, very good question. Now, very interesting. He says certain do's and don'ts. Now, see, Arthashastra is a huge book. I would not like to go in very deep, but I will tell you something which will interest the students is, first he says is never share your secret with anybody. It will destroy you. Okay, and how relevant it is in today's world. So he prescribes and he explains. So every sutra he says, he has given a huge explanation on that. Okay, so second he says the king shall lose no time when the opportunity waits for arrives. Now this talks about being opportunist, seeing and without any delay taking a decision and implementing it. So today what we are talking about, today's entrepreneur, our opportunist, he talked about 2003 years back. So he was definitely relevant. Then he talks about happiness of a leader lies in the happiness of his subjects. He's very clear on that. So what he is trying to say by that, he says by keeping the employees happy, keeping the customers happy, the happiness will come to the leader. And it is now, if you ask me, it is the basis of the principle of corporate governance and stakeholder theory we are talking about. Keeping all the stakeholders happy and you will get the happiness. So he's definitely relevant here as far as the leadership is
He
concerned.
talked about corporate governance also in his book. So I think
Yes.
that is what you're relating to here.
Absolutely. When we read the books, I don't know how many students know that he pioneered the first time the idea of Consumer Protection Act. He said, take care of consumers so well, and that will be the basis of your doing excellent in the market. If he is satisfied, you will become a great company. So the principle of duty of a king towards the consumer or a company towards the consumer, that was given by Chanakya in his book. So very relevant there. Then he talks about all urgent calls he shall never hear at once, but never put off. For when postponed, they will prove too hard and impossible to accomplish. What he's trying to say is quick decision making. And believe me, when he gives a commentary on that, he not only talks about quick decision making, but how quick decision making should be done. So then he talks about decentralization. And he says an entrepreneur, or at that time king, should ensure that in his kingdom decision making has to be very fast, and that's how people should be able to delegate their authority in order to have a good conduct in the society. So he is definitely relevant there also. Then very important thing Chanakya said is communication. He said leaders should always be open for people to communicate. And whenever he will lose or he shuts himself from the people, king shuts himself from the people, that is when the crisis in his kingdom arises. And you know what we talk in communication, we always say that all channels of communication should always be open. So that he talked about then. Okay, so I would say Chanakya was much before his time. He was born much before his time, and that is why he's still relevant today.
That's a very, very nice takeaway. Thank you, ma'am. And ma'am, lastly, I would like to ask that how would you suggest management students in various B schools to selectively pick and learn from the Arthashastra?
Okay. Now, very interesting. What I feel is for management students, what is important is to basically understand heritage of India. Okay, I will be taking a little, I'm digressing a little, but I want to say is when students are convinced that Chanakya was a great man, when they are convinced that there has to be a learning, then only they will open the books and the reading will happen and the understanding will happen of the concepts very easily. But what is the need of an hour is we have to know our heritage, and not only know, we should be very proud of that. Okay, so we should know the contribution of Chanakya, and that is when they will start, there has to be a curiosity in a mind of a student how he is even relevant today. Okay, so let me give you one example. He said if you get to learn from something, even from your worst of your enemies, please don't hesitate and go ahead. Now tell me how relevant it is to today, in today's life. So everything he said is very relevant. So I feel the onus of preserving our heritage, our country's pride is with these youngsters. They should not only know what Chanakya is, but they should get huge curiosity and understanding his learnings.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. That was a really very good session for us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, Saugata.
Thank you.